Oh, Lou, hello again.
Hello.
So Monday we noodled around and did sort of the outline of the HTML. And yesterday we sort of got the basic structure we were talking about. And today I wanted to go ahead and, at least on super big screens, set some additional rules so that can we take a look at what this looks like now? Because we set it up so take a look at what this looks like now. Because we set it up so take a
Oh
look at
dear.
what this
Okay.
looks like now. Everything's fine. I'm going to take a mysterious guess that one of us has a tab open that's playing something because I can hear me in glorious, terrifying double talk. And I bet it's me. That sounds like something I'd do.
No, I've got
So,
tea.
I'll fight you for the blame. So. And this is the special rules we set for if our screen is bigger than 1300 pixels.
Yes.
And we said, hey, if we want to make this bigger than 1300 pixels, go ahead and kick this as far as you can over to the right.
Yes.
A nerd. Chill. And you mentioned something yesterday that I thought was very, very prescient, where you were like, oh, are we going to do this with a float? Are we not going to do this with Flexbox? For folks who haven't heard of Flexbox before, what's that?
Flexbox is another layout rule for CSS, I guess. Built in CSS, not like a framework.
Yeah, it's like I always think of it as sort of a philosophical approach.
That's the way to put it.
Yeah, but it's a philosophical approach that's like hard coded into CSS.
Yes.
So my understanding, and I'm the happiest at being rubbish at CSS, is that Flexbox really lets us go ahead and set. Wait, did I say I said grid? It's 2022. We use grid now, don't we?
Flex or grid is fine.
So Flexbox used to be this thing, and you can still use it built into CSS, where you say, hey, I'm going to build a bunch of boxes like divs conceptually within CSS. I'm going to squish them and pull them and move them, and it's cool. And then we got grid, where we said, I mean, these squishy boxes are okay as a philosophical approach to structuring a web page. But what I think I'm going to do is I want to be able to draw a grid and say, you live here, you live here, you live here.
Yeah.
Would that be a good way to approach this and say, hey, you know what? We want this side column, and then we want this top bar for the nav. How would we approach that in grid? And it's a genuine question. I am joyously rubbish at grid.
I've never used grid either.
So. No, we could be terrible together.
Exactly.
We could be laid back together. I mean, nothing too bad can happen.
Exactly.
Oh, it's Ramon saying hello. And we could be mean right back because, Ramon is supposed to be having a day off, which I'm reasonably sure does not include watching computer streams. For those of you who are brand new, I'm not mean. I'm not mean. I was about to lie and say I'm not mean to everybody. I'm only mean to learners with time. It's an opt-in meanness. So, yeah. When we're talking about grid, would it make sense to sort of in our hearts map out what we think we would want as a grid?
I think so.
Yeah, because I think I want the nav to be a bar across the top. And we should specify this is only in big screens. We said that media query, if we go back to the code, look at this, consistently mean where I'm like, obviously you'll drive. I'll just chill over here. Little drink with an umbrella. Can you talk me through what this media query does? Sort of like line by line, what's the deal here?
So the media query, it looks at different, everything, I guess, all the media. And it says if the width of the screen is bigger than 1300 pixels, then for link dump, which is a class, as you can tell from dot, it says float right and make the background this color.
Yeah. And I think when we talk about like our screen size, that can get really, really weird as well. Because I'm so sorry, I'm going to consistently be mean to you. Can I see the website again?
Yes.
Because when we're talking about the screen size, what we're really talking about is the viewport. And this is a web development concept. It is really a web concept. And the viewport is not the size of your physical screen. I say touching my screen like y'all can see it, but the size of the window that the HTML is being rendered in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we take this and grab the corner and squish it smaller, squish it being a very technical term, isn't it? We're not changing the hardware. We're not changing the size of your screen. Oh, but we are getting to see what your friends listen to. But we are changing the rules because it said, you know what? The viewport has gotten smaller. So we're not going to apply this media query rule. Chill, chill, chill. Everything's fine and everything's going to be fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we've only got like a yes, no on here. So folks who've done a little bit of JavaScript maybe, or folks who are interested, it kind of feels like an if-else statement. Say, oh, hey, if the viewport is bigger than 1300 pixels, do this stuff. And we don't have an else. So we're like, if the viewport is smaller than 1300 pixels, go ahead and just follow the natural flow of the page. Just do what HTML wants to do. So let's go ahead and it's a lunchtime stream. We just want to do a nice short one. Shall we just go ahead and look at CSS Grid and just see about getting it set up?
Yeah.
And then everybody can go have like a lovely lunch and drink tea.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, see, we were all making up nonsense. I was like, it's a philosophical approach. And you were like, oh, it's like a framework that's not a framework. Shorthand property is quite a good one. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to, I think you've got to declare this first, where you have to say, yo, I'm using Grid at some point.
I want the reference page rather than the explainer page. So I'll bring it to explainer.
Oh, this is an explainer. Well, explainers won't hurt us. What is a gridlet? Yeah, so this is really, really useful. I'm going to race you and see if I can find it as well. MDN CSS Grid. I'm searching for the exact same thing you did. Yeah. Oh. Okay. CSS Grid layout. Got it.
Container grid.
What have you got? Yeah. So this is really, if we were deadly serious and we wanted to learn stuff, I think we'd do that. Yeah. So dot container. Do we need to specify a container, or does anyone all of the directions?
HTML is grid, but I'm not sure if that's probably
yeah. We can set this to root, can't we?
Yes.
Yeah. And just to remind our viewers who maybe haven't done this before, which is super chill, what does root mean?
Root means that's a question. I guess it means like the beginning of the HTML.
Yeah.
And the body, I assume.
You're absolutely correct. So root is this like really, really cool pseudo class. And what root's doing is saying, hey, you know what? I don't have the time to specify everything on this page. When I say root, I mean anything in this HTML document. I want these rules to be the boss of this whole document. Everything's fine. I mean, I don't think CSS Grid at any point specifically told us that everything's fine, but I'm just assuming. Like, the world's so big and stressful these days. And look, that didn't change a dang thing. And that's fine, because so far all we did is say, hey, you know what? We're aware that this philosophy of the grid exists. I want you to apply this philosophical approach. This, what did they say? They said, what did they say? It was a wonderful way to say it. And I've immediately put it out of my mind because I'm absolutely married to the idea of this being, because when you think about web development, it always feels like magic where you say, I'm going to say words, or click, 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 say words, and make art out of light is just so magical and chaotic to me. So what else do we do? So we say, okay, we're going to display a grid. I think we've got to define it as well. So grid template columns, grid template. How do we want to, do we want to split it up into rows, or do we want to split it up into columns?
I would have thought rows, because you want like
oh, because we want that doofer.
Yeah, Oh, that's true. So
But
2
that
columns
feels,
and then rows
yeah.
inside of the columns, I guess.
Oh, yes. We want, oh, do we? Yeah. Oh, because we can have content span more than one row.
Ah,
I think we might just go ahead and split it into rows.
okay.
And I'm wrong. I'm wrong all the time in the most cheerful way. But in my heart, this is like a row doofer in my head.
Very different.
So here we've got grid template grid template columns. That sounds right.
You don't
And
grid
you know what?
template
If
rows
it's,
or something? I don't know if that exists. So I was
I mean,
looking at
well, we want the uppy downy babbies, which I think are columns.
okay.
Yeah, so we could grid auto rows and grid auto columns. So rows definitely exists. I love all of these examples, which I would never really use to be like, here's how to have equal sized cubes. I'd be like,
It's good to know.
It is. And I imagine if we were deadly serious about learning to do this right, we'd pay different attention, but we're not. We're just goofing off to try and get stuff done.
Exactly.
How about a grid template columns? Just to get us started.
Cool. So,
And do you know what? We can color these different things just so we know the deal.
right.
Oh, look, it knows exactly what you want. You're like,
Yeah,
yeah, I bet you want these.
Yeah, template column.
Columns, rows. Oh, hello. Oh, V prevails. Hello, lovelies.
Hello.
And we are doing this on Olu's Twitch, and Olu's, sorry, I know you're very, very modest and very polite, but we're doing this on Olu's Twitch and YouTube. So if you're like, oh, wow, Olu's the best, A, you're absolutely right. And B, you're like, oh, I'd really like more of this. Just go ahead and follow them and keep hanging out. Everything is chill. Oh, you don't have to as well.
Oh, damn.
So I think we could just say auto.
Let's see what happens.
I still think nothing will happen.
I'm fairly sure nothing will happen as well.
I don't. So second person saying that this is just the best VS Code theme, isn't it? It's very like 1970 vampires.
Yeah, nothing happened. But
Okay.
yeah, exactly. Vampires is interesting.
With the grid, the grid, the VS Code, it doesn't feel like. I think I'm thinking very specifically of a piece of vampire content that is not springing to mind. Yeah, it's got like a strong vampire lipstick deal going on in my heart.
Huh.
So Teddy Bear is saying, you know what? I haven't really used grid a lot, but I think there's some kind of convention where you can have an 8 column or a 6 column that gives you flexibility for creating most layouts. Okay. And the speed component usually, I think that's absolutely right? Where you say, you know what, if we get an 8 column or 6 column spread, that means that we can go ahead and sort of conceptually start taking up that space. And Teddy Bear, I believe, are you the same Teddy Bear from the boot camp last time? Because if it is the same one, this just the loveliest, most helpful person, so unreasonable. So what I think we need to do is maybe go back to the MDN and maybe meditate a little bit on how we put stuff in those grids. Help to ask grid.
It's back to top again.
Yeah. Whoop. Oh, is that Miriam in the video? Look at me, just name dropping people I like on the internet. I am not pretending to be besties with folks that I just love their content, but that such good content around CSS Grid. I think it got made a couple of years ago. It's so good.
How many do you say, like 6 columns?
Oh, grid template columns. I mean, we could specifically make a flexible grid with the FR unit. What does FR unit stand for?
Flexibly sized.
Fur.
1 fraction of the available space of a container. So I guess we could just do 6 of those.
Yeah. It's probably not the fastest way to do that, but
No.
it's the one that feels most chunky in my heart. So I'm chill with that.
Cool.
Oh, everybody is still being. So this is Platypus. And if Platypus starts hanging out in your streams, Platypus, I'm going to be mean to you, but in the most loving way. Platypus has this absolutely fantastic gift for being incredibly adeptly technically correct all the time. So you'll be like, oh, CSS Grid is like a thing where you can do things. And they'll come along and be like, Actually, it's an approach where you, and it's always constructive and always helpful, but very slightly intimidating, at least for me. Oh, and Remote is suggesting that maybe there's a game we might want to play sometime called CSS Grid Garden, which sounds. I believe Twitch is intentionally mostly for streaming games. We might stream being chill and playing a CSS grid sometime. I think when we save this, it's still not going to change anything because we've got these grids.
Yeah, I think it will just do nothing.
Yeah, because all we've said is these grids exist.
Oh, okay, do something.
Oh, because everything's going in that first grid until we say something else about it.
Mm.
I'm okay with that. Let's look at the documentation. Okay, I got it. What we need to do is start setting the rules for where stuff lives.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm cheating and I'm looking at the MDM docs on my side.
Awesome.
I'm going to type it in, but when I put it in the chat, it's going to look like you. And I just want to say, oh, if this is the wrong doc, it's absolutely on me. Yeah. And Teddy Bear's saying, oh, video games feel like magic. Like, the whole world is stressful enough. Just chilling and playing some video games doesn't sound like a bad idea. So looking at the CSS grid, I think we can come back into the rules we've already written for that link dump class.
Awesome.
So I'm just telling, and I'm snapping my finger. I'm so sorry. That's what I do to try and get my old lady brain started. I accidentally did that like directly at somebody in a serving position, like in a coffee shop where I was like, oh, I need, oh gosh, no, not you. That's my brain. The effusive apologies that takes. I should really think of a better way to jumpstart my aging brain. So what we want to do is we're right here in link dump and we want to specify. So I think we would want to say grid column. And here, 5 to 6, 5 /6, I think might do it. I don't know if we need spaces between those. I think we might need 2 space / or 5 space /. Yeah. Do we want to try those?
Let's see if that works.
I have very little faith in my heart these days.
Nope.
Okay, that didn't work. What about 2 to 3? Let's just move this around until it feels like it works.
2-3 or 2/3?
2/3. And if this doesn't work, oh, do you know why this doesn't work? Hang on.
Why?
Oh no, never mind. I was very cocky for a second, but I don't know why.
Oh. Nope.
Let's check and make sure. Oh,
I was going to inspect the one. Check and make sure what?
Well, let's check and make sure we did our actual laying out of the grid right.
Now that you're on the reference page, yeah.
Yeah, now that I'm on the reference page. So we could say grid template columns, repeat 5, 1FR would work. I'm literally just looking at the cheat sheet. No, but having 5 of those should do the exact same thing.
Like that? Or is there brackets somewhere?
Well, let me see. You absolutely know that I. So repeat smooth brackets 5, 1FR. Hey!
Cool.
Everything's fine and everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
within the context of making little laid back web pages, everything's fine and everything. Because, like, bigger picture stuff continues to be a little bit stressful, huh?
A little bit, yeah.
But this seems like a kind of safe, chill place to leave this. And it's a little frustrating because this is exactly what it looked like when we started, isn't it?
Yes.
And all we've done, and you said this last time, is that when I said, oh, let's float this to the right, let's just push it all the way, you were like, well, okay, we could do this 3 or 4 different ways. And all we've done is take a different mental model, a different code translated psychological approach, philosophical approach, and made that happen. Although, would it be terribly rude? I'll just ask you a little bit about your work, because I think it's really, really good. Because you get to, not all the time, but generally, do you get to work on stuff you like and not do stuff you don't want to do?
I mean, that's a very strong way of putting it, but I do try to work on things that I care about, yeah.
Oh, is that, I think saying things I care about is so brave in, like, a very scary, very cynical world to say, oh, cool, I try and work on projects like, so you're a freelancer.
Yes. I currently freelance mostly for Oddbirds. I work with Miriam, who
oh gosh, oh no, I'm so jealous. Oh, you should mention, we're like, oh, I was doing some streaming with an absolute fangirl.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. So folks who might be watching, is freelancing immensely easy to get into and then very, very relaxing, and then there's no admin at all to worry about?
Mostly taxes are the main worry, but if you get an accountant, it's not that bad.
That's the most relaxing endorsement I've heard of freelancing in a while, to be like, oh yeah, taxes are a bit miserable. Ah, fabulous. And Lewis, you're going to have to tell me if it's Louis or Lewis. I'm so sorry, my love. Is saying, oh, cool. Smooth brackets is an adorable term for that. And the thing is, I think there are official ways to say the different types of bracket babbies. But anytime I see a tutorial, there seems to be a lot of variation, isn't there?
Definitely.
I've heard curly boys for the little curly brackets, where I quite like, which is great because in my heart, almost all sort of HTML elements are very, very femme. So to see other people say, oh, those curly boys, I'd be like, always getting into trouble, those. Oh, cool. And Lewis is saying it's just like the American Lewis. You know what? I'm just going to stick with that. Oh, and Teddy's like, I got you. Parentheses, and those smooth brackets are interchangeable. What would you call these ones then? Maybe
angle brackets.
See, that is a very, very mature professional. I quite like pointy babies, which is obviously not the technically correct term. The one thing I really like to tell people is, as long as you are unfalteringly confident as you say it, oh, look at this, or crocodile mouths.
That's
oh
great.
No, I'm definitely going to say that in a meeting. And this is proof. As long as you're unfalteringly confident when you say it, other people will be like, oh yeah, pointy babies. Yeah. Olu, would it be chill to go ahead and go have some lunch and do you have a very relaxing afternoon planned?
Yeah, very relaxed. Not got much on, I think. What's today? Wednesday? Oh no, yes I do. I'm meeting someone later. But yes.
Okay, maybe I want to be a freelancer. You'd be like, wait, what day is it? Wait, is it August? I will let you go to have the most relaxing afternoon. It is afternoon. I'm just as bad as you. And then our lovely guests who've joined us, please have the most relaxing morning or evening. Y'all better not be watching in the middle of the night. Y'all get some sleep. It's late.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye.
Great day.